Welcome to Excuse My Bluntness, the podcast. This is, of course, Daniqua checking in. I have two very special guests with me. One that you guys are very familiar with, and one that you guys are going to learn and speak with today. So, you can introduce yourself, even though people are very clear who you are at this point.
Hello, everybody. This is Lara.
And
Hey, my name is Alton.
I didn't know what you wanted to go by, but yes, this is my friend Alton, and he's joining us for our episode, and I just want to thank you for doing that. I've definitely wanted for quite some time to get some male perspective on an episode, and I think that this topic that we'll be discussing today is very prevalent for him to actually be here. So thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
I haven't been recording in quite some time since COVID hit. And before I move on with the episode, I would just like to just pray and hope that everyone is in good graces. And I hope that everyone has been just learning, loving on themselves and just being better and doing what they can during this pandemic to just find ways of coping. There's been a lot going on, and I just wanted to address that, especially with Black Lives Matter and everything that it is that's just a lot right now, right? Moving forward, we are going to be discussing the topic of what we need Black men to know. Who are we, Black women? So, time and time again, me and Lorinda always have our personal conversations, just girlfriend conversations about dating, but also family relationships, but that of relationships that we have with Black men. And I thought that it would be great to have a discussion with a Black man, but also as Black women, and just give the information that would be helpful for those that care to understand, to know what it is that we're asking for and why we have such a disconnect when it comes to Black women and Black men. So with that being said, I would like to just share that when having this discussion with my friends and always going back and forth, I feel like anytime I personally have ever brought up any discrepancies or any examples or experiences that I'm always faced with Black men at that time, feeling as though I am either is some form of disrespect or they're on the defense. And I just wanted to clear the air and speak on why that may be the case. Or every time we uplift Black women, we have Black men checking in and basically saying, well, what about us? So I think a great question to start off with is, if you guys know, and either one of you guys can answer, what do you feel like the biggest disconnect is, and where do you think that it stems from?
I think that the disconnect is in many different arenas. I think in romantic relationships, there's a disconnect. I think in families, there can be disconnect between Black men and Black women. But if I'm gonna just break down the romantic aspect of it, many young millennials, and I mean even people older, but in my experience, many young millennials say that they have issues with dating, and it seems like from both sides don't know what the other person wants, or there's issues with consistency. There's issues with
Yes, it is.
There's issues with building something genuine. There's issues with
Vulnerability.
Right, vulnerability. That's a huge one. Everyone is afraid to be vulnerable with each other. And families, it seems to be there's issues between brothers and sisters. There's issues with between parents and their children. Or there's issues with patriarchal standards in families that the younger generation, at least from what I'm seeing, is having issues with. For example, societal norms where men come first in the household due to the fact that traditionally men are the ones who bring in the money. But now in this new millennium, women are also working, sometimes bringing in more money than men are, but still expected to keep up with the patriarchal roles of our grandparents. And so that doesn't work. Sometimes that doesn't work for many people. So that's where the point of tension comes from. So there's many different things. There's many different things that contribute to the issue. But I also feel like with conversations like these, there's a possibility. There is hope, basically, and there's a possibility of finding common ground.
Yeah. Would you guys say that, because just in your description of just the fact that when it comes to family dynamics, when it's boys and girls and the way that they're raised, would you agree that like misogyny is like respected when it comes to like raising a male, and then that coming into play as why there's a disconnect? Because I feel like as a female, we're always, of course, taught to be independent, and we're pushed to just do more, be more, and just always be held accountable for things. But when it comes to young boys, like they are, told something completely different. They're not necessarily raised to have an independence. And I'm not saying all, because when you speak and then you don't sit there and say, well, not all, everybody just assumes it's all. I'm not saying all parents, all black parents raise their child like this, but it is a big population of black women and black males who have raised their sons in a way where the way that they've raised their daughter and the way that they've raised their son is completely different. And I think that we can all vouch. And I know you have sisters, so you probably can be able to speak on that too. Where, like, what was the difference in the way that you was raised opposed to your sisters?
It was completely different. My sisters, they had more restrictions on just being social. As far as being a boy, it was almost as if that was the only thing my mom wanted me to do. Like, go outside, get out the house.
You feel like you have more freedom?
Yeah, definitely had more freedom. Definitely was able to, I was at my first party at like 11 years old. You know what I'm saying?
11 years old?
11, 12.
You was riding cheeks?
I definitely was.
Oh my God.
They was high schoolers. I was lit. But, it was on the block. And my mom told me like 9:30 get in the house. I got home probably like, 11:30, 12. It wasn't really any real repercussions and things like that. But it's definitely different. Like there's roles. So that's what I was gonna say. As far as the contention point is roles. There's largely different roles, and then at different aspects. And then I feel like mothers really understand their children. So if you got a boy, you would understand your son. And then you might do things differently, and it may not seem equal to the rest of the siblings and things like that, but it's like the mother's, innate, kind of just nurturing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in which ways? Which ways do you feel like your mom might have enabled you?
Not many ways, but just going outside, and really kind of having that freedom to just go where I wanted to go and not, hold me back from being outside or whatever else. But me as a kid, I was a little bit different. I didn't know. I was a little bit more, like I wasn't out there. So she would kind of introduce things to me, like getting my ears pierced. She was like, "You should get your ears pierced." And I was like, "Okay." The first time I thought about it was my mom saying, "You can pierce your ears if you want to." But she already knew going out. And I think also on top of that, there's a lot of like pressure from adult men, that mothers mothers have to deal with as well. Because let's say you're a mom with 4 boys, every man that meets you and meets your kids, they're gonna say, these are boys, and then they gotta kind of put those different ideals on the mom, and then mom gotta switch up the way she raises these boys, trying to understand because she's a woman, so I think it's a lot of different contention points at the same, coming from youth, but then again, there's also self, as well. So, when I think about like how women's progression and things like that, it being a little bit faster, be kind of a little bit more relaxed, and it's like they throw women out, like mama kind of, go out there.
And that's how you're forced to be independent and you're forced to figure things out, opposed to men who actually, I feel like, are more guided in a way, or they're more teaspoon fed, or they enable. Like a lot of black women enable the young man that's within the household. So it's like, so now when we want to date these men, it's a tug of war with not wanting to be a mom, just trying to be your girlfriend or trying to date you, and it's just like, but you have no sense of, to a lot of terms, you don't have, it's a big struggle with sense of self, sense of identity, and sense of responsibility. I feel like all comes into play, and common courtesy too. I feel like a lot of men have felt, especially millennial men, feel entitled to a lot of things, opposed to having to work for it, because a lot of things I feel like when they're younger they're given. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. I don't know everything, but I can only speak on my experience or the things that I've seen and things like that. I also know that you've grown up with brothers. I have brothers as well, but I didn't grow up with them. So just being able to say what the dynamic was when my mom raised, boys versus girls, I wouldn't be able to say. But I wanted to know, before we move to another question, did you have anything to piggyback off of?
Yeah, so I was raised with 3 brothers, and I definitely feel like my oldest brother was my mom's favorite. I was also adopted, so so yeah, I think that as another point of it. But my brothers are my biological brothers, and I will say that out of all of us, I think that the pressure to basically make sure that one was secure, and the pressure of making sure that I had secure, have a vision and a goal and things to meet healthily. I think that out of all my siblings, that I was one of the ones who met those goals. And again, I could see that if I pulled some of the stuff that my brothers pulled, such as sneaking people in the house, such as coming in the house late, such as
you wouldn't have no place to stay.
I wouldn't have no place to stay. I definitely, and I had threats of being kicked out of the house at a certain age, due to certain things or whatever. Whereas my brothers got away with some things. Yes, there's a difference in ages, but yeah, I felt like I was dealt a harsher sentence when it came to responsibilities, when it came to education, and when it came to certain things or whatever. Like, if I would have dropped out of school, I would have never heard that, and I wouldn't even been able to drop out of school. Like, that wasn't a desire of mine, but I wouldn't have been able to drop out of school. I wouldn't have been able to say, like, oh, I'm sneaking somebody in the house. Like, I would have got hands and feet laid on me.
Was it household?
I'm not doing something.
Household.
Oh, yeah, I can't even say
that.
Like,
I'm not doing this.
I can't even
and
say
actually
I'm not doing it.
Finding a way to not do something that you're supposed to do.
That's not even an option. Like, everything, if I was told to do something, I had to do it. There was no argument. And if my mom didn't get me, then my older sister would get me. But I wasn't the type of kid that would defy my mom in that manner. So that wasn't an issue. But yeah, there were some things that my brothers did that they got away with, and I wouldn't even thought to do. As a matter of fact, because my brothers did it, I no longer wanted to do it.
Yeah, because now you scared. Now you like.
So, you see that ass?
Oh no, it's not that you scared.
And it's a respect.
It was respectful. Yeah.
It was more so respecting for me. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like
I seen that was wild.
Yeah,
I know that wasn't right.
I'm gonna reel it in. And this is my younger brother, by the way. So just goes to show.
Yeah, and I would say like household chores is always left up to the female in the house to do. So it's just like laundry automatically. You washing your brother's shit and stuff like that, or you washing everybody's stuff in the house. When it comes to cleaning up, like all of a sudden it becomes a task that you have to do. So it probably was some bitterness in the household too. Probably your sisters and you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thinking about my mom's single mom. You know what I'm saying? Even though it was a man in the house, she was a single mom.
And that's something to talk about as well. Even though there was a man in the house, she was still a single mother. But yeah, please go on.
That's a whole conversation.
So you a single mom, you bringing in the income. You are making sure the kids got everything that they need. Lights is on, everything is right. Emergencies, health insurance, keeping up with doctor's appointments. You know what I'm saying? Everything like that.
This is how many kids, by the way?
So it's 6 of us.
Okay.
It's 6 of us. You know, my older sister, she went off to school, but that's 5. That's still a handful right there, right? So Pete, my mom was looking for anybody to be dependable. And it ended up being my sister, you know what I'm saying, kind of like groomed to take care of the things when she wasn't around.
Yeah.
To take, and then, helping with food and things like that. All right, so if you could help me with this, you could make sure these things are met, or these, whatever else as far as chores and stuff like that. I had like simple chores, and I would not do them and get my ass beat, but then, I come back stronger because I'm like, I'm tough. It was all of that, right? You get your ass, as a boy, you get your ass beat, and you show defiance and things like that, and it kind of like it fuels it even more.
And let me just make 2 points, because your brother is the second oldest one, right?
Yeah.
But the responsibility still fell on your two, the ones next, which were
After
two
him.
two girls, right?
Yeah.
So that's 1 point.
Let's
And then
pinpoint
I will
that.
also say that because I grew up with brothers, my brothers always made a big deal to show strength.
Yeah.
So that was another thing. So when we got our asses beat, it was like, oh, you better not cry. You better not cry. Like if you cry, then that means such and such and such or whatever.
Shit,
So
that
I
shit
also-
hurt.
So
The fuck?
I also grew up in a space where it's just like strength and like not showing weakness.
Weakness.
And I'm putting that in strong quotation marks. And that was
Yeah.
also a contention point in our relationship when we first became friends.
True.
But which I think we should touch on. But
Yeah.
But yeah, so I growing up around boys, I wasn't encouraged to show weakness, and it was always like, oh, if somebody messes with you, you have to do such and such. You have to fight. You have to do, and that's also how the women in my biological family was raised as well on my mom's side. Like it's just like, oh, like you can't show
You
no
have to be
weakness.
the aggressor.
You can't. You have to be aggressive. And I think that points to a lot of why we are in the situations that we are in today.
Yeah.
Now it's a
Especially,
tug of war. Of
especially
who's-
men. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Right.
But especially the men in my family,
And then I got-
and why we are, you know, where you know where we are today. But
And I got something, thinking about it socially, right? You know, us being human beings and stuff like that. Things getting tough, things getting hard. My brother was funny. Like, he would make my mom laugh. He would make my sisters laugh.
charming.
All of that. So, like, when
You
you...
got away with murder.
Exactly. Like, boys, is you know... You
Same
end up
thing with
getting
my older
the
brother.
goofiness.
Literally,
the
that's the same thing with my
goofiness,
older brother, yep.
The silliness, the
Yep.
funniness, all of that stuff ends up being something...
Yep.
Maybe it's not as much as, you know, the girl's responsibility, but it ends up being some type of responsibility that you add to the household, and for some reason, you know, it kind of, you know, it ends up being something that's like, okay, you got away with this, or you get away with that.
Yeah.
But
I
a lot,
agree.
you know, like, and then stepping outside, you got the competitions, and there's machismo, and you got to
Yep.
show,
Yeah.
you know, it's,
Who's boss? Who? You know, you're not afraid of this person, and it all is
you gotta
centered
be-
around
you gotta be more
being able
funny.
to defend
You gotta
yourself.
be more- yep.
It
You
all
gotta be able
centers
to
around
fight
got to
better.
be able to defend your family. It all centers around just basically like not letting somebody have a one up on you. So in order to show that, you cannot show any emotion, because if you show emotion, it makes you look weaker, and it doesn't. These types of
And then
things
moms
doesn't
don't want
help. Your mom definitely don't want that.
Don't
but if,
get your ass beat.
If your
you
dad is
lose-
also in the picture.
If you lose, you better not lose.
Exactly. So it's just it's kind of like this life or death thing, and then when you learn that, when that's indoctrinated into you from in the household and you're growing up, then how does that fare well in romantic relationships when you're trying to establish a healthy relationship with
And
somebody?
that's what I wanted to switch on to as well.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a big problem and a big situation for all of us. Like, how do we fall in love with, or how do we have relationship with each other without there being this barrier of either you don't respect me, you aren't, you're unaware of what I need from you. Like, all right, let's now create the space and create the conversation on what it is that we feel like we need from black men, and what you believe, because you're just one black man, but I feel like you've had your experience too. Let us know what the hell you need from us, or what your bros feel like they need from us,
Yeah.
so that we can just put that on the table and start working towards it, opposed to just keep going back and forth. Because I feel like overall, in general, we all want the same thing. Everybody wants love, but everyone should want a healthy love. Everyone should want a growing love. Everyone should want a form of love that is not in conflict of anything going against who they care to be in a better manner.
That's
and
not
things of that
steeped in
nature.
violence.
And
That's
that's
not steeped in
violence.
disrespect. That's not steeped in anything that's unhealthy. That's not steeped in in dysfunction. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
not
Like,
continuing a cycle that clearly keeps going on, which is why we can't have or have not had like great experiences of relationships and healthy relationships in our families, and the ones that we've created in our own timing. So with that being said, I think we've all had a fair share of dating and like highs and lows in it and things like that, and we've all had relationships. What do we need from each other, and what is the hope for that healthy love that we all care to have?
Patience.
But break it down though.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get right
Yeah.
to it. Patience. When I like me and my girlfriend, right? She like everything is speedy. So I guess depicting a childhood similar to what we were just talking about. You got to find a solution fast. You got to be on top of everything. You left to your own devices. You end up with that sense of independency, and now everything is.
So she wants you to be patient, or you saying you would need black women to be patient? Like,
I would need
what's the
black women
patience
to be
part?
patient.
You feel like we're not patient?
in different, because it's patience needed on different sides, both sides, definitely.
Mhm.
But black women definitely need patience, as well as black men need patience, as well as so to list everything that we would need from black women, definitely would be patience, perspective, and then.
What do you mean by perspective?
So the way men sort of like you're forced to view things in a certain way, and it starts from young, but you're forced to view things a specific way, and there's like you're learning how to be a man from broken men, so you end up with missing pieces,
Key.
a bunch of missing
good.
pieces, and not having the perspective to say, okay, or even perception as well, perception, perspective, similar, but just kind of being able to learn your man and peep, what I'm saying, certainly be perceptive about, his character, what he's able to admit, what he's not able to admit, what he might be going through, what he have difficulty with, things like that. Just being patient with all of that stuff can allow you to have a conversation, and then ultimately end up getting somewhere to where he can open up, to where he can take advice freely, because like taking advice is like a bargain. It's like if I take advice, you got something on me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you shouldn't feel that way in a relationship. Mm-hmm. It should be an even exchange, or it should be something where it's like you don't feel like this person who you are deciding to share your life with, to share your body with, to share your resources with, it shouldn't feel like this person is gonna have a one-up on you. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be even counting that type of stuff. Like, it should be something where you feel safe in. I don't mean to interrupt you or anything like that, but I just wanted to say
that was dialogue.
But and then at the same time, but what you'll end up getting sometime, women can do this, or you kind of count all the things that you've done for somebody, to where it's like, okay, remember the time I did this, or I didn't ask you for this when I did this, and then it's kind of like even with friendships where you share something and that person uses it against you because they're angry, because they're upset, and all of these different things. And I think men we have a tendency to think ahead a certain length. So
think ahead when
like into the future. So like if you can expect something. Yeah.
I do think that guys think a lot about the future. Sometimes I think that can kind of hinder present process, but I think that they do have a lot of they spend a lot of time in the future, and they put a lot of put a lot of goals towards like whatever the future may bring and stuff like that. But I don't necessarily. It's sometimes a disconnect between the present and the future, which leads to.
So like, what are you doing now though?
Right.
Like opposed to what you're telling me that you are going to do or who you are going to be. What's happening now doesn't work, so I can't even get to the future.
I think that that's a common battle with guys, because I think also a lot of guys feel like I can't do such and such until I have such and such, and so that kind of that leads to them being stagnant and being in an unhealthy space. And then if you don't have an outlet in which you can actually express these things, and you kind of stay in it. I also feel like guys' relationships at times, like depending on the relationship that you have with guys, I feel like guys are really like surface level. No matter how long you've known your friends for, they're really surface level. And so it's like it's not really in-depth check-ins when a guy is going through something. It's not really like in-depth check-ins. It's not really like
I'm good, bro.
And yeah, it's
we
not,
good.
it's scary, or it's almost intimidating. I don't want to tell that man what to do. I don't want to be in that man's business and things like that. But sometimes you need that consistent check-in and things like that in order for guys to be able to have that to be able to hone those skills and do exactly what they need to do. A lot of times y'all fight silent battles because y'all keep it to yourselves, and it's an issue with trying to figure out who it is that you can trust. And I think that's kind of like where you was getting
a lot
at.
of learned behavior.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's crucial, because when you think about the nurture, because I think about like nature and nurture a lot. And it was a time like in the.
It's okay. It's all right. They know this is a show being taped at home. No. All right. All right. You're good. Yeah. There we go.
Okay. But yeah, it's a lot of like when I think about nature and nurture a lot, and I found it really interesting around the time with heavy in the media. It was like, oh, you can't raise a man, and I felt like that was a lot of the nurturing part. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta invest into him, and you kind of it's like having a kid. But then also there's the nature part too, which is like certain things that's like wired.
Yeah.
We're wired to do something.
The environment in which you're being raised in says a lot about how you probably think and the things that you'll do and the things that you'll end up experiencing, which is very huge in the Black community, because a lot of us are growing up in poverty and an unhealthy relationship, and like I feel like the what I need is communication and consistent communication and the care to understand. So people can say, like, you can talk to your partner, your male friend, your family member, your uncle, your father, as much as you can, but do you care to understand where I'm coming from? Do you care about the fact that I'm sharing an experience, and me sharing my experience doesn't say that you need to be in defense or that you should be able to have all the words? But can you hear where I'm coming from? Do you hear my pain? Do you hear my agony? Do you hear my cries? I feel like my biggest struggle with Black men, because I don't have a huge amount of Black males as friends. Alton has been dope, but Alton is Lorinda's best friend, and we've just established a friendship over time. But and I don't have a relationship with like my biological father, and I've been in relationship with dated guys, but I'm single, so clearly that didn't work out. So it's just like, and I feel like the biggest thing with that is the fact that I don't really feel safe when it comes to Black men, and I don't feel safe to be vulnerable with them. I don't feel safe in being able to express myself to them, where they care to understand and then care to work with me to show me differently than what I've already experienced, which is an injustice, or which is conditional love, or which is like the idea that no matter what they do to me, I should just take it, and I should be willing to forgive and also forget the dynamics of the lack of relationship and respect that we have within each other, no matter what it is that I do. So that's a big thing for me. So when it comes to like what I need from Black men, I can say I need to feel safe. I need to be able to be vulnerable with you, and I need to know that you understand, that you care to understand me. And I also need consistency. Whatever you present yourself to be in the beginning, though we change over time, just keep in mind that as Black women, it's always an uproot of you guys. You start somewhere, and you care to do what you can to get the attention of this Black woman, and once you have it, you fall off the wagon with the way that you care to treat her. And it's not always. Sometimes I feel like a lot of Black men can be completely honest about who they are, and they give you the option to fuck with it or not. But then there's some that present themselves one way, and then now, all right, I want to see what you about. And now that I've given you the chance to show yourself, you're really not ready to be vulnerable. You're not ready to be understanding. You're not ready and willing to communicate. And we need to communicate in order for this to work out. I need to know what your thoughts are. I need to know how you feel about situations. And I don't always want to be the one to present those topics. In order for us to have relationship, there has to be dialogue. There has to be understanding. There has to be consistency in that. So when I say what I need black men to know, I need you to know that we need to be heard. When we say something happened to us, it happened. It doesn't mean that you did it, but it means that it happened. And we don't need necessarily for you to always fix it, but hear us out and don't display or don't what's the word?
Negate the
fact that this is what I've experienced and this is what happens. And not only am I speaking for myself, I'm speaking for your sister, I'm speaking for your aunt, I'm speaking for your mother. We all experienced it, whether you've shared those conversations with them, with these young women or not, or these women in general in your life or not. It hurts when we say, or when we're trying to love you and you're doing everything to shelter us or push us away from it. And no matter what it is, we still are the ones on the front ends, and we are the ones that are rooting for you guys the most, and we just want the same thing back. And we want to be able to love you freely without feeling like I'm loving him freely, but I'm not getting that back in return. So when I say what I need from black men, I need safety, I need consistency, and I need to care that and feel that you care to understand me, and learn me.
What I'll say is that, and I'm going to look at it from a romantic standpoint, and I'm also going to look at it from a community standpoint, and in this community is going to be family standpoint. So on a romantic standpoint, we want people to be genuine. We want people to show up themselves, you know what I'm saying? And being able to show up for yourself, and showing up for yourself and as yourself, that means that you need to know who you are. So a level of self-awareness is really important. If you don't know who you are, then I would suggest spending time to get to know who you are, so that when you do show up, or when you are ready to show up in a romantic relationship, you can show up who you are. And
what you mean by that? Because that can be the case too. Like, well, what she mean by, like,
gotcha.
How do I learn who I am?
So in learning who you are, it means exploring what it is that you actually want to do. What sets your heart on fire? What drives you? What goals that you have? What are you passionate about? It means that you focus on yourself, so that you learn what makes you happy. If you're sad or if you're mad, how do you handle yourself? How do you deal with your triggers? How do you cope with sadness? How do you cope with life? Because life is gonna happen, but how do you cope with these things? Are you the type of person that's gonna hold grudges? Are you the type of person that's gonna curse somebody out? Are you the type of person that's gonna be physical before you actually talk things out? Are you the type of person that can actually speak about things that you're going through, instead of actually putting your hands on your significant other, or putting your hands on somebody that you encounter issues with in the street? You know what I'm saying? Do you have healthy relationships with your parents? Do you have healthy relationship with your friends? Do you have healthy relationships in general? Do you have consistent patterns in employment? You know what I'm saying? Are you consistently pursuing what it is that sets your soul on fire in regards to, like, you being passionate about stuff?
Amazing.
So just knowing are you spiritually connected? What are you spiritually connected to? So these things about yourself, do you know these things about yourself? Because if you're the type of person that's like, yo, you know what? I'm ready to be in a relationship. I'm ready to be selfless, and I'm ready to contribute to another person. That's great. If you're just the type of person that's like, you know what, I can't take relationships serious right now, but I do enjoy company, then you can be the one to tell people, like, all right, this is exactly what it is that I want. And if you with it, cool. If you're not, that's fine too. I completely
give me the option.
You know, giving people the option, being authentic, being yourself, and presenting yourself. You know what I'm saying? If somebody messes with it, they messes with it. If they don't, then they don't. But being authentic enough to the point where, like, people, you know, you can have healthy relationships and you can have healthy exchanges. Being honest with yourself, that actually goes into being self-aware and being genuine. Being honest with yourself so that you're able to be honest with others. We want protection. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's in our households or in the streets. And if you're not the type, and when I mean protection, I mean, we don't want to be harassed in the street. We don't want somebody literally following us down the block. We don't want somebody harassing us on Facebook. We don't want somebody, you know, threatening us or whatever the case may be. And if you're not the type of person that does that, but you've seen or witnessed your homeboys doing that, or if you see a video online and you're reposting this video laughing at it, that's not okay. So letting your homeboys know, like, yo, that's not cool. Like, I really think that you should leave this person alone. We want protection. We want to be able to walk down our blocks without the fear of being harassed, without the fear of being raped, without the fear of being hurt due to us just walking and minding our business. Y'all are not entitled to our bodies. Y'all are not entitled to our attention. Just like we are not entitled to y'all. You know what I'm saying? We're not entitled to y'all attention. We're not entitled to y'all bodies. I know for 100% fact that y'all dudes is not walking down the block scared that black women or women in general are gonna be sitting over there chasing y'all or harassing y'all, inappropriately touching y'all. But that's a fear for us.
I deal with that every day. Well, we deal with that every day.
Right. So we want, that's what we mean by protection. When we say in our own households, we should not be worried about domestic violence in our households. We shouldn't be worried. Our friends shouldn't, and our aunts and our mothers shouldn't be worried about domestic violence. That should not be something that's even on the table. When we say protection, we mean that, God forbid, when there's times when we are unjustly hurt and when we're not protected by the law, we want y'all on the front lines as well. We want to hear y'all voices as well. We want to see y'all, uplifting us and putting us first as well. And that goes not only for that, but it goes for also music. It goes for supporting the
what
businesses.
You supporting, yeah.
Right. It definitely goes to what you supporting. So when your female friends start businesses, promote it. You know what I'm saying? When your female friends start their passions, promote it. Those things. So we want support. We want protection. We want you to show up as your authentic self. And if your authentic self is not the best self, then go and get therapy. There's nothing wrong with going to therapy or talking to a professional and investing in
or
therapy.
read a book, because some
Right.
people really don't have the chance to actually go
Right.
to
That is an
sit in front of
expense.
somebody. But
That
at
is
the
an
same
expense.
time, there are books, and I share books on my podcast, on this page as well, that would be very beneficial to anybody. It don't
Right.
matter what your color is.
Right.
But a lot of self-help books, like, don't be too proud to make it known that you want to make changes and you want to do better. And it don't matter when, at some point, when you care to get the help that you need. Be willing to get the help that you need.
Right.
Whether it is being able to sit in front of someone outside of your circle and tell them, like, about your life, or whether it's just picking up a book, because that can be the easiest thing if you're not comfortable. But please be willing.
So you can pick up a book. You can go to a therapist, and I know that therapy costs money, so I understand that that's not something that's easily accessible. You can also listen to podcasts that has to do. You can also follow accounts that deals with mental health issues, because a lot of the stuff that we're going through has to do with PTSD. It has to do with depression. It has to do with bipolar disorder. A lot of these things are mental health issues that can be resolved if we seek the proper help. You know what I'm saying? So, like, going to get therapy would help huge in us being, because therapy teaches you to be able to communicate. It teaches you to identify your feelings and deal with it effectively. It teaches you to cope with life. So if you're able to cope better, then you're less likely to take it out on your sisters. You're less likely to take it out on your mother. You're less likely to take it out on your significant other. You know what I'm saying? Or your baby moms. Or it teaches you how to have a healthy relationship with your baby moms.
Because we all want it. We all want love. We want to be in love. We want to have that joy. We want to have that person that brings us, like, you want to already have peace for yourself, but you also want somebody that adds to that. You know what I mean? And that, I think, and the challenge is getting it. But if you're not in the space to receive it, even if you get a person that's capable of, or in that space themselves, you'll be toxic to them because you have not done your work. So we need you to do your work and be willing and be open. And you know what? Even if it's not the book, if it's not the therapy, set yourself around black women that really speak life into you.
We need to reconvene, because all of these things culturally, there's steps that we've never taken, into consideration, approached, or anything like that. Thinking about everything that you were stating, that involves friendship, like just friendship.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, and there's not a lot of value in the step before the romantic
That
part.
is so true.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
That's, so to be honest, both sides, we all need exactly what these ladies is, listening for you guys. But at the same time, we got to understand that, we commune each other. You know what I mean? And those are ways that helps us develop and grow, and then have great relationships, and then be able to build from there.
Right. Yeah. And I will also say that it shouldn't matter the type of woman that, you know what I'm saying, because I feel like a lot of people make excuses like, oh, she ratchet, she don't need my protection, or she the type of, she got her OnlyFans, or she don't. I feel like I don't care what type of black woman you are. I don't care if you're educated. I don't care if you ratchet. I don't care if you are uneducated. I don't care if you're an immigrant. I don't care if you got an accent. I don't care if you dress with little to no clothes or whatever the case may be. All black women are deserving of respect. I don't think that it makes sense to see, like, when I see somebody who, like, for example, when I see somebody who's strung out on drugs, that don't mean that I'm going to be like, oh, let me take out my phone and let me start recording them. Let me start disrespecting them. Let me go up to them and start you know what I'm saying? I don't do that. If anything, I say a silent prayer, hope that they good, or if they need the type of assistance that I'm willing to give, then I'm you know what I'm saying, like if they ask for anything, like I'm talking specifically like if I see somebody on a train that needs something from me or whatever, I either assist them in a way that they ask me to assist them, or I shut up, and I'm not talking shit about them. I feel like that's one of the things where people feel like, oh, well, she clearly don't respect herself, so why should I respect her? Why would you, if you're a respecting person, why would it take somebody, however somebody else is
disrespect
conducting themselves
for
you to disrespect them? Why does the disrespect have to jump out? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. You either gonna respect that person or you leave them alone. There's no need for us to be taking pictures of people, putting it on the web, and just talking down on people. Black women are the main ones that are pictures are taken, whatever, and given some type of context that don't even make sense, and then the whole world gets to have a opinion on it. And it's not okay. You either respect that person or you leave them alone until you can learn to respect them. Yeah. I don't see dudes with shirts off and be like, oh, they not deserving of respect. I be like, you know what? I'm on my business, because it's not indoctrinating us to disrespect people with their shirts off, but it's men with their shirts off, but it's indoctrinating us to disrespect women. And regardless if you feel like this person doesn't have respect for themselves, it's not up to you to sit there and be vicious or mean towards them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's another thing. Like, we need, like, we it's not okay to be online or in person disrespecting people and degrading people because of our own personal opinions. That's not okay. So I feel like that's another thing that we can do for each other. And when I say that, I mean in our neighborhoods. If a single mother or if a person in your neighborhood needs help, check in with the women in your neighborhoods. Because I also said I was going to reach on the community level. Check in with the women in your neighborhood, see if they need help with anything. And it doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be monetized or whatever the case may be. It could be like, oh, you know what, you need this person to watch your kids for a little bit while you run and do errands, or you need this person to go and do something or whatever the case may be. It's nothing wrong with building up our communities, because we need each other. We need each other, especially with all of this stuff going on. We need to make sure that our communities are built up and strengthened. It takes a village literally to raise us.
Just change our approach.
It helps. And again, if you're a person that's hostile, if you don't feel like you can, if you feel like, oh, I can't trust people and things like that, it's time to look inward and see what it is that you can do. Maybe switch the people that you hang around. Maybe heal from what it is that you've been through inside.
We've all been through some shit.
Right. And it's up to us to make those changes in order for us to be better people, for not only us but for the people around us.
Ooh, what you had? What you got to say?
Some simple advice for anybody that's growing up, teenager. Connect with somebody that's opposite from you. Like, if you end up friends with people that exactly like you, they won't show you anything.
That's so true.
Different.
That's so true.
Try to connect with the person that is opposite. If you you know what I'm saying? Like, I think of life as being like a lifetime student. I'm always learning. So if you are trying to learn and try to better yourself, you would learn from people that are opposite from you, that can show you something that can actually benefit you and build your character. Following the crowd that you want to be like and changing yourself, you know, these are all cultural things that we allow, that we do like almost automatically, and it's
sometimes detrimental. Yeah,
it's really scary, because you can't follow, like, you could follow the trend, but how do you like monitor it and say, all right, you know, don't do this or
if it's no longer helpful to you, then it's nothing wrong with breaking out and saying like, yo, you know what, this no longer benefits me as a person. No, I'm grown now.
I don't connect to it anymore.
I'm mature now. It no longer serves me, and I got a piece from it. There's nothing wrong with saying that.
It's okay.
And it's okay. Like, it's completely fine. Also, another thing I would like to bring up is exactly like breaking up with somebody amicably, and it's okay, or not talking to somebody, and it doesn't have to be hostile. It doesn't have to be
beef the whole
point
time.
of tension. Yeah. It's literally like, yo. 53? It's literally like, yo, you know what? You got your point, I got my point. We not agreeing on this, and this is too big of us. This is too much for us to be able to convene on. And you know what? That's okay. I'm gonna go my way, and you go your way. And I'm not only talking about romantic relationships. I mean that in familiar relationships too. You know what, Dad? When you ready to talk to me and you ready to respect me, or when you ready to accept my sexuality, thank you. When you're ready to, thank you for saying that. When you're ready to respect my point or respect me as I've grown older, then we can have this conversation. I don't have no hate for you. I don't have no, disdain for you or anything like that. But this, I'm ready to talk when you are. And actually, and it's okay to even say that you're not ready. Right now, I'm not ready to have this conversation. I need space. There's nothing wrong with saying that. is nothing at all wrong with saying that. And I would just like to point out also that even in our relationship, we've known each other for what, over 10 years now, whatever.
Yeah.
And I would try to force affection on him. I will admit that I would try to force affection on him, and he wasn't the type of person that was receiving of affection due to his household. But we've stayed consistent in each other's lives, and we've listened to each other, and we've been what each other needed at the times in our lives, because we genuinely was interested in who we were as people. Yeah. And what we meant to each other, and we made those necessary changes as we've grown. We've known each other since we were 15 years old.
Yeah.
And so we've had to make changes. We've had to be honest with each other. I think we've always, a blessing has been that we've always been self-aware. And that's helped tremendously in our relationship, and that's where we at. And a lot of people don't think that, oh, you can have a best friend of the opposite sex that without sexual tension or whatever the case may be. We have no sexual tension towards each other. We literally just respect each other as human beings, and that's how we've still been able to rock with each other almost 15 years later, because we respect who the person is, and we've grown with each other, and we value that person. And it's like, yo, you know what? I rock.
And that's why he's my friend too.
Right. So, and it's not to just say in male and female relationships. It's the same thing with me and her, because we're best friends. So we've had to learn and grow with each other. There's been times when we disagree. There's been times when we disagree with each other, but it's like, yo, you know what? This person is important to me enough to the point where I'm going to make sure that I do what I need to do in order to make sure that I continue to respect this person, make sure that our connection is genuine, make sure that our connection is this and that.
When you value relationships, you don't even have to be best friends
with somebody. You can literally just meet somebody and still have that same ideal. Like, yo, you know what? I respect this person as a person. And if you're getting to know each other and that person no longer fits what it is that you feel is any ideal, it's okay to be able to walk away and still have love or still have respect for each other, and y'all go y'all separate ways, and there's no hardships or no beef or no jealousy or nothing like that. It's about valuing that person. And if you don't value that person, it's okay to walk away and move. But the violence that we show, the violence, it doesn't have to be physical violence, but it could be the way you talk to a person. It could be the way you talk about a person. It's not okay, and we need to stop it. Like, we really need to stop it. So those are some of the things that we need: patience, communication, understanding, care to get to know the person, self-awareness.
Do the work on yourself. That is huge, and then you can go through the breakdown of everything else that we listed. But figure out who you are. Black women and black men. I just feel like black women, we've been on our shit. We've been on our shit. We trying to figure shit out. We trying to be better, be better. And I want you guys to do that as well, because we love y'all, and we just trying to fall in love, and we just trying to love on y'all and have healthy relationships. This is not to demean you. This is not to.
It's okay, baby.
This is not to disgrace you. This is just to allow you to know what we need, what we want, and why we want to do better moving forward. We don't want another few years, another decade going on where we're at each other's throats. We actually just trying to build, grow, and create a better dynamic than what we've been seeing, what we've been shown. We can go on with this topic forever, and actually I feel like there should be a part 2, and I feel like we should continue to speak and continue to bring this up. This is just a snippet of the conversation, but I hope that you guys really, really enjoyed it. We're going to cut it short now, but I definitely feel like we should definitely circle back. If we could get more people, that'll be great. More guys, more girls, have an open discussion. This is dope as fuck, and I really, really appreciate it. And I just want to thank you guys for joining.
Absolutely. My Instagram is BoMF_. I do a little bit on there, but definitely plan on being a lot more active and vocal on these types of things.
Yes, because you definitely should, and we've been saying that forever, and we're about to fuck you up.
I don't say much.
You don't do that.
I don't say much.
You don't do what you're supposed to do.
You don't never be listening to nobody. It gotta come out of a man's mouth in order.
And y'all already know she always got something going on, and she has something to present. So just remind them of the shirts.
My Instagram is a lot of love, ALADALOVE. I also have a lot of love.com, spelled the same way. I got shirts going on, and used to host events. I still host events. Getting back to events,
COVID hit and whatnot. So shit was real. And y'all know me by now, and I'm gonna do my best to be more consistent with uploading episodes. And please, let me know. Thank you. I don't know if I missed or not, but either way, I love doing this. I know, but y'all my friends. We love y'all. This is Excuse My Blend, it's the podcast, and this is Daniqua checking out with my two special guests,
Lara
and Alton.
It's been real.